how this works. You can think about it as framework made for developers. It allows you to build a beautifully designed web app without even having to touch the code, and then allows you to deploy with one click. Once you get it deployed, you get the code. There's no lock-in, there's no subscription. It's yours forever to do whatever you want with it. The app itself is pretty simple. It allows you to put in basic information like the domain, page title, page description, and you can easily toggle in different elements, CTA buttons or image and so on. What's really cool about it is that it can use AI to generate an entire landing page based on the title and description that you put in. You can also include a blog list on the front page, and there's several other options as well. And then you have the ability to change the theme and the font combinations. So Shipixen comes with a ton of handpicked font and color combinations that you can just toggle between. They all look fantastic, and they all go throughout the landing page components and the UI components as well that I'm going to show you later. You can also go in and just pick a different font combination if you want. There's a bunch of those that configure both the body and the title fonts. And this is great if you're not really that good with design, not really good when you need to start from a blank slate and you just look at it and you lose excitement for the product. This helps you get the thing out, get you motivated, get you off the ground, and get you on the right path to shipping this product. The same goes for colors. There are a ton of color combinations. They're grouped by purpose. So if you want to maybe target something in the B2B area, you might want these blues, or perhaps if you're targeting developers, you want to go more minimal and so on and so forth. All the options are there for you, and they're just one click away. Next, you can change some of the pages. So with one click, you get a blog. It can generate some blog post content for you. You can generate a pricing page. It's possible to configure the pricing plans. You can toggle it, see how it looks in dark mode. You can change the segments. You can change the tiers. Everything's configurable. You can also turn on about page, privacy, terms and services just with one toggle, and it's going to have your company info. It's going to be a great start, so you don't have to focus on these boring tasks when you start a project. And then finally, you can configure navigation, social links, and footer, and so on and so forth. If you don't have to, you can just go ahead and press Generate App. This is when the magic happens. So it will generate an entire code base and give you a deployment link. It will have a landing page component system and a UI component system. It will have icons. It will optimize your images, make a fav icon, make a open graph image, add in your SEO meta titles, set up your blog, everything that you would usually do when you start a project. It's done for you, and you literally just need to click Deploy to Vercel, which I'm going to do now, and you're going to be prompted to create a project. Let's just call it No Design, and press Create, and Vercel is going to clone this. It's going to install dependencies and deploy it. So you have it deployed before you even touch the code base. The code base will be in your GitHub, and in a second I'm going to show you how it looks. Let's just do movie magic and skip to the end of the deploy now. And just like that, we are deployed and up and running. If I go to my Vercel dashboard here, open it up, and press Visit Site, you can see what we got. We got a fully generated landing page, dark mode supported, of course, with initial copy. That could have been something that I talked about in this video itself. So you can see it's pretty good at generating something to get you started. Of course, I recommend that you go in here and you tweak the copy. You just make sure there's nothing promised here that you can't deliver. It will create all sorts of sections. It will try to use best practices that I've seen across tens of successful products that convert very well. You're going to have there are places to put testimonials and overview of features and even frequently asked questions and so on, as well as the blog that we included. Let's just open an article so you can see how this works. So fully server-side rendered with support for optimized images, syntax highlight, also server-side rendered. It has a beautiful overview page with tags and taxonomy included. You can, let me open this one. Here you can use all sorts of languages if you do a technical blog or make a complete documentation website, which I have done for Shipixen itself. You have search built in and everything's static and without third-party, so no subscriptions or any need for some sort of database or stuff like that. So that's also very cheap to run this thing. All right. So besides that, I mentioned the pricing page, which we quickly tweaked in the app itself. You can always go and change this, and I'm going to show you how, because I mentioned that Shipixen is a little bit like Framer for developers, but at this point, I've generated all the code for you and it's out of my hand. You own it and it's yours to deploy anywhere you want. And obviously that means I cannot change it anymore. So this is where something like Page UI comes in. Page UI is, if you want, the other part of Framer that Shipixen comes with. And it's a little bit different, of course, because you don't have a drag and drop editor. What you do have are templates, and these templates, they're very clever. They're constantly being added and edited, and they're based on landing pages that convert very well, and people that have a very high MRR, that have tweaked these to oblivion and beyond. And you can turn on something called thief mode at any point in time, and just with a click, you've copied the code and you can paste it in your Shipixen website just like that. Any of these sections is for yours, is for you to take and copy paste. So this is how you continue to use the UI library and especially the landing page component system that is built into the code base. You can press view code here as well, and you can see how these are built. They're pretty straightforward, most of them. Really easy to copy paste into your code base, and you can do this with literally every single section. And of course, if at this point you feel like updating the colors, as I mentioned, you can just try that out, press copy, and you're off to the races again. So this is the concept around the app and the templates themselves, how they come together. But there are other parts that you might want to change that are not related to the template itself. And that's where the free tools come in. So on the Shipixen landing page, you see there are a couple of free tools. We looked at templates. There is a pricing page generated as well. So if you want to change the pricing later on, you see we can rebuild the tiers in here. Again, we can customize the colors, change the frequency, and copy code. You get the code, you put it in your app, and you're good to go. You've updated your pricing page, and you've just saved a bunch of time on it. Similarly, all the UI components are presented here. So if the next step of building your app is perhaps to work on authentication, you can go in here. They're all categorized. You can search for things. You can choose authentication, and you see complete examples of an entire login page, if that's what you need, or smaller pop-up style landing pages. You just press copy, and then you get the code, and you can paste it in your app, and you're good to go. If you want to go further and, for example, build some sort of dashboard, admin panel, you can get charts. You can, of course, maintain the color theme that you've selected previously. So the cool thing about the theme is that the components are built, so the colors flow throughout, landing page, dashboard, any component that you use essentially will follow that, and you can always update it and do rebranding and so on and so forth. That's just a few of the tools. There's also a very long list of landing page component examples. So If you need something specific, these components are super well documented. You can see all the permutations that they could have and how they can be combined with other components to get specific sections or styles, or even animations, which are some of them have built in. Or if, for example, you are looking to see the props, the more traditional documentation, you can, of course, you can just view the code and copy paste it. You see it's super clean, easy to understand, or you can see the component specs and go to the documentation website instead. Now, the documentation website is pretty thorough. It also contains tons of examples on how you can put these components together. And it also allows you to change the color. So you can change the color anywhere you are pretty much and keep customizing this. It's as easy as possible to change without actually having to modify your code, which I can't because it's in your hands now. I don't have access to it. So you can also see a more traditional prop table where you see each prop, what type it could be if it's required, and what values it could have. So pretty much like a traditional UI library. The difference is that you also own the component, so you can modify the props itself in the code or add a new variant to it and do whatever you want with it, really. The documentation is super thorough. It has overview around UI components, landing page components. It shows you, for example, how to write a blog post, pretty thorough. Getting started with Markdown. Adding a blog post is as easy as creating a file, pretty much, and putting some metadata, and then the rest will be picked up by the setup that's there already. But there are also more advanced topics like config, or, for example, deployment, if you want to deploy and self-host to Coolify, or if you want to deploy it as a static website, that's also in there, install analytics, or even super advanced topics like building a knowledge base or a documentation hub with it. That's shown with code examples that you can copy, paste, follow, and have that in your app when the time comes. So that's about it on a crash course to Shipixen. Of course, there's a lot more in there, so please check out the documentation. Please check out the features page where you see all that's bundled with this app. There are more than a decade of lessons that I've learned as a web developer and as a marketer in more recent years. You can see all the performance that it comes with. You can also see stuff around blog posts and filtering and all authors and all of the goodies that come in with Shipixen. And I encourage you to also check this out and see how it looks on mobile. Everything's fully responsive and ready to go. It looks beautiful on mobile as well. And of course, there are tons and tons of things that you don't have to think about it, that just make things work. And that is exactly the point. You don't need to think about them. Just think about your product and about how you're going to market it and about how you're going to bring more customers to your app. Thank you so much, and I hope you use Shipixen to build something awesome.